presidential activity during December 2019. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi opened the Cairo International Exhibition for Communications and Information Technology, which comes within the framework of infusing technology with the latest scientific standards in various cities, governorates, and new urban communities currently under construction. President Sisi received the credentials of 9 new ambassadors and wished them success in their duties in Cairo, stressing Egypt's keenness to enhance relations with their countries in all fields. President Sisi inaugurated a number of development and service projects in Damietta Governorate and opened a Lisan Hotel in Ras El Bar, and a number of housing projects including Dar Misr project and social housing, as well as transforming the West Damietta Gas Power Station 2 project to work as a combined cycle in Damietta Governorate. President Sisi met with Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, Minister of Planning and Follow-up, and head of the Central Agency for Organization and Administration. The meeting discussed developments of the implementation plan for the transition of different ministries and government agencies to the new administrative capital. During his meeting with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Youth and Sports, President Sisi directed to continue developing mechanisms for discovering and refining sporting talents among young people in various governorates at the level of the Republic. He also directed to have an integrated vision to establish and develop infrastructure and facilities for the sports system in Egypt. President Sisi received a group of Egyptian athletes and praised the achievements of the heroes and their contribution to raising Egypt's prestige in the regional and international sports arena. The President granted the sports medal to the sports champions. The President met with the Prime Minister, the Minister of Higher Education, and the Minister of Communications. The meeting discussed various axes for the development of the higher education and scientific research sector and the executive position of national projects in that sector. The President received the Minister of Defense of the Republic of Montenegro and stressed Egypt's keenness to advance the aspects of joint cooperation between the two countries in various fields. The meeting witnessed discussions on ways to enhance bilateral military cooperation, including joint drills and exchange of experiences. The President met with the head of the Suez Canal Authority, Lieutenant General Osama Rabia. The meeting dealt with following up the executive position regarding the ongoing development process in the Suez Canal Authority and its projects. President Sisi instructed to continue accomplishing all ongoing projects in the Suez Canal Authority. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received the President of South Africa, and the meeting witnessed a discussion of prospects of strengthening bilateral cooperation, as it was agreed on the importance of holding the 9th session of the Joint Committee between the two countries early next year, 2020, to discuss areas of cooperation of mutual interest. The Egyptian President stressed in his speech during the joint press conference with the President of South Africa that the discussions dealt with the overall bilateral relations, and it was agreed on the importance of improving the rates of trade exchange between the two countries and ways to encourage economic and investment relations between Egypt and South Africa. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi witnessed the launch of the activities of the first edition of the Aswan Forum for Peace and Sustainable Development in Africa, held in the capital of African youth, Aswan. During his speech at the first session of the Aswan Forum for Peace and Sustainable Development, President Sisi stressed the necessity of joining all regional and international efforts to support security and stability in the African continent, based on the principle of state sovereignty and the central role of governments in formulating peace agreements and development plans in accordance with national priorities. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received the Senegalese President Macky Sall on the sidelines of the first session of the Aswan Forum for Peace and Sustainable Development. The meeting between the two presidents discussed ways to deepen bilateral cooperation in the field of combating terrorism and extremist ideology in the African continent, in terms of security and exchange of information. President Sisi held an official dinner banquet to honor the heads of state and heads of delegations participating in the Aswan Forum for Sustainable Peace and Development, and made it clear during his speech that there is no peace without development, and that there is no development without security, peace, and stability. And this is the message of the Aswan Forum to launch an international framework for cooperation for peace and construction and development. President Sisi praised the role of the Egyptian women during the past 10 years during his participation in the session, enhancing the role of the African women to achieve peace, security, and development, stressing that the Egyptian women moved strongly in 2013 to protect their homeland and future generations and preserve the Egyptian identity. During his meeting with the Nigerian President Sisi stressed the importance of continuing to enhance trade and mutual investments between Egypt and Nigeria, praising the growing cooperation between the two countries in the field of capacity building through the various programs organized by the Egyptian Agency for Partnership for Development. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received the President of the Republic of Comoros, Ghazali Othman, and expressed Egypt's aspiration to activate frameworks of joint cooperation with the Republic of Comoros at various levels, work to raise the rates of trade exchange between the two countries, and support the development and capacity building and cadres in Comoros. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi stressed during the closing session of the activities of the Aswan Forum for Peace and Sustainable Development in Africa that the forum addressed the most prominent issues facing the African continent from the perspective of the integrative relationship between peace and security on the one hand and the sustainable and comprehensive development on the other. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi heads to Sharm el-Sheikh to participate in the World Youth Forum in the City of Peace. The President and his wife witnessed the opening of the World Youth Theater activities in its second edition within the activities of the World Youth Forum in Sharm el-Sheikh. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi delivered a speech during which he announced the launch of the World Youth Forum in its third edition to be a platform through which we send to the entire world a message of love and peace, a message of pride based on constructive dialogue through which we affirm our will and determination to move towards a better future. The President made an inspection tour by bike on Saturday, December 14, 2019 in Sharm el-Sheikh. He visited the branch of King Salman International University. During his participation in this session, The Current Challenges to International Peace and Security, the President stressed that terrorism is a diabolical industry, the worst of which is manipulating intellect and belief to achieve personal goals and interests, calling for solidarity in supporting countries facing terrorism. The President visited the Salon of the Egyptian Center for Intellect and Strategic Studies within the framework of the World Youth Forum in its third edition in the conference hall in Sharm el-Sheikh. The center seeks to display different visions and alternatives on strategic issues at the local, regional, and international levels. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi visited the Entrepreneur Zone in the framework of the Third World Youth Forum at the conference hall in Sharm el-Sheikh, where the region includes innovative models of work and companies founded by young people. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi explained during his participation in this session enhancing cooperation between the Mediterranean countries in facing challenges that Egypt considers all refugees on its lands as guests and is not acceptable or allowed to maltreat them. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and stressed the stability of the Egyptian stance on the Palestinian issue and the separation of the two states and the establishment of the Palestinian state in terms of the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received the Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, and discussed a number of topics of joint cooperation between Egypt and the organization, as well as ways to enhance development cooperation between Egypt, African countries, and the organization. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi witnessed the session Artificial Intelligence and Humans, which is which in control, and the President stressed that Egypt will open a new series of universities during the next academic year with all modern science to contribute to preparing the Egyptian youth for the labor market. President el-Sisi received the Director General of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, and the meeting witnessed discussions on ways of cooperation between the two sides to promote comprehensive and sustainable industrial development in Egypt. The Egyptian President received the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, and the meeting witnessed discussions on ways to enhance cooperation between the two sides, especially in the framework of working to activate the important role of the agency to ensure the peaceful use of nuclear science and technology worldwide. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi visited the exhibition of the Ministry of Social Solidarity in the framework of activities of the World Youth Forum and reviewed the project named Mawadda, meaning affection, to protect the identity of the Egyptian family. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi witnessed the closing session of the Union for the Mediterranean Simulation Model, and he proposed during the session launching the Euro-Mediterranean region for higher education, science and research in the new city of El Alamein in 2021. President el-Sisi pointed out during his meeting with the representatives of the foreign press in Egypt that the problem of our region during the past 10 years is the plain and severe interference in the affairs of countries, which leads to devastation, which is inadmissible. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi participated with the youth of the world in the activities of the Peace Marathon, which was organized by the Forum in Sharm el-Sheikh. The President said in his speech during the closing session that Egypt confronted the forces of evil on behalf of the world, and that there is no room for conflict or war, and stressed that his confidence in the Egyptian youth is boundless, and that the success of the Youth Forum in achieving its goals was evident after adopting its decisions internationally. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received the Minister of State and member of the Saudi cabinet, Dr. Aissam bin Said, and expressed Egypt's aspiration to continue developing the horizons of constructive cooperation and consultation between the two countries in various fields to achieve the common interest of the Egyptian and Saudi peoples. The President inspected the construction works to develop the roads and access of Misr al-Gadida and the Cairo-Suez Desert Road, and directed in this framework to adhere to the time plan for completing the construction work and raising efficiency, taking into account the application of the best safety and security measures in accordance with the latest international standards. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi witnessed the swearing-in of a number of ministers and new deputy ministers, who are Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Kemal Madbouli Mohammed, Minister for Investment Affairs, and Minister for Administrative Reform. President Sisi received on Tuesday, 24/12/2019, the Arab Ministers of Higher Education on the sidelines of their participation in the 17th Conference of Ministers responsible for higher education and scientific research in the Arab world, and the meeting witnessed an exchange of views between the President and the group of ministers on various Arab experiences in higher education and scientific research. President Sisi met with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Culture. During the meeting, the President directed the rehabilitation of cultural palaces at the level of the Republic to enable them to achieve the desired goals in terms of spreading awareness and teaching arts to young people. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi met with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Transport. The meeting discussed a review of the executive position of the current projects of the Ministry of Transport, on top of which is the Rail Network Development Project, and the President directed the establishment of a central station for the Upper Egypt Railway. The President expressed his great appreciation for the efforts made to care for and empower the people of Egypt with special capabilities, those with determination. This came during the festival, Able Though Different, for people with special needs. On 24 December 2019, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi visited the exhibition of the medical convoy to examine the disabled and view the activity of convoys. President Sisi witnessed the opening of the Integrated Animal Production Complex in Fayoum Governorate, which aims to reduce the food gap in animal protein and work to provide it with quantities, quality, and appropriate prices within the reach of the citizen. The President met with the Prime Minister and a number of ministers and senior officials. The meeting dealt with a number of issues, foremost of which was a review of the latest developments in the security situation and combating terrorism. The meeting also touched on a number of issues, including developments in the political situation at the international and regional levels. During his meeting with the Prime Minister and the Ministers of Finance, Health and Population, the President directed the launch of an initiative for health of pregnant women during the month of January in order to detect and treat diseases in the mother and prevent its transmission to the fetus. President Sisi held a meeting with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Tourism and Antiquities, and the meeting discussed a review of the current and future projects and plans of the ministry, as well as the vision of the ministry after integrating the tourism and antiquities sectors. President Sisi directed during his meeting with the President of the Arab Organization for Industrialization to continue efforts to develop and modernize the organization in order to meet the requirements of the country's sustainable development plans, in line with the policy of achieving optimal exploitation of resources.